Good, good evening, everyone. And welcome those at the center and those on Zoom. And it is so nice after the pandemic to see people coming back to the center. But it is also very nice to have our presenters in person these days. So today, Judy has come specially all the way from Peace Village to be with us. And we hope to have her every month with us. So you don't have to see her on the screen anymore on the third Thursday. But if you come to the center, you can see her in person and interact in person. So welcome also those on Zoom. Continue to join us in that way if you are further away. Tonight's topic is meditation and how not to meditate. Meditation has become such a popular word and such a popular practice, but there are many, many, many different techniques of meditation. But there are also many, many ideas and misconceptions about meditation. The practice that we have here in the Brahma Kumaris is called Raj Yoga meditation, and I'm sure Judy is gonna elaborate more on that. But also she will touch on some of the misconceptions about meditation. I hope. I actually did not check with her beforehand. Judy Rogers is one of our most beloved sisters, as I see her, friends, but also teachers, and she lives up in our retreat center, upstate New York. She has been meditating for more than 25 years, almost 30 years, I think, almost 30 years. And well, I think she can better speak for herself. Thank you for being with us, Judy, and enjoy the night. And those on Zoom, if you have any questions, you can type it in the chat, and I'm sure at the end, Judy will give space for questions.
Sure.
If you want to move, it's okay, it's just you will be on the recording, which I don't think you... Okay. Enjoy the evening.
And do you want to come
Come a bit closer. And Ananta also.
So good evening. It's very nice to be with you face to face. Now, Mita, I've seen recently, but wonderful to be with all of you this evening. Did you come for the topic? Were you curious about meditation, or you just said, I need a quiet space and I'm coming in off the streets? Yeah? Number two? Anyone come for number one? Yeah? Both. Okay. Well, let's make sure we talk about meditation then. So, you know, how we're doing outside, how our bodies are doing, how our relationships are doing, how our jobs are doing, has everything to do with how we're doing inside. The outside comes from the inside, right? And I'm stating something I'm pretty sure you know, but I just want to start with that. So for a lot of people, when they begin to look for meditation, what they're really looking for is they want their life to be working better in whatever way, right? Sometimes it's money, sometimes it's job, or sometimes it's just a general feeling of discomfort. The things going on in the world are keeping me rattled and I'm having trouble calming myself down. So whatever brings you to meditation may determine what kind of meditation you do, because there's a lot of different kinds of meditation. right? Many, many, many. In fact, I looked it up. I thought, all right, what does Wikipedia say about meditation? It's actually a very good thing that Wikipedia says. I'm going to read it to you. So what they say meditation is, Wikipedia says it's a practice in which an individual uses a technique such as focusing the mind on a particular object or thought or activity to train the attention and the awareness and to achieve a mentally clear and emotionally calm, stable state. That's pretty good, right? I mean, Wikipedia isn't always so reliable, but on that, it's pretty good. So people come to meditation for different things. Some people just want to sleep at night. They just want to be able to close their eyes and fall asleep. Other people really just want to de-stress, right? They feel kind of rattled. Do you recognize either of those as relevant in your life? Yeah, sleeping, de-stressing. So that's sometimes what brings people. Now, Rona said she wants to make sure I talk about what is not meditation. So let's take a minute. I have people in my life who say, my golf game is my meditation. Now, that can be your meditation if your intention is to improve your golf game, right? So you got to figure out, where are you putting your aim? So if my aim is to improve my golf game and be more lovely on the course, then my golf game could be my meditation. I have people in my life who say running is my meditation, right? I get out, I start running, my mind quiets down. All I'm thinking about is the run itself. Is that meditation? Yeah, can be. It's not, I mean, it's only going to do for you what the aim is. So it's only going to quiet your mind while you're running, and that's not a bad thing, right? So I don't want to dismiss those as kind of not relevant or whatever. For a lot of people, they just want to walk in the woods or be around art, right? They just want to change their state. And so they're doing lots of things in order to change their state. Go to an art exhibit, go to a sculpture garden, go for a run, whatever. And so I don't want to say that those things aren't relevant. They are. They are. If that's what you're doing to change your state and bring around a better state, nothing wrong with that. So let's go up a notch, because that's kind of the baseline ambition to improve. Nothing wrong with having a good game of golf, but let's go up a notch to, I want to de-stress. Okay. So usually when your aim is to become a quieter person or become more calm, the kind of meditation that you end up with is usually something like mindfulness, right? I'm going to focus on one thing. I'm going to notice where my mind is. I'm not going to let my mind jump around. I'm going to bring it to a still point, and I'm going to focus on that. So what the mind, let's talk about the mind for a minute. So for most people, their minds are constantly wandering, right? They see something here, their mind goes there. They hear a little news story, their mind goes there. The phone rings, someone calls, now their mind goes there, right? Smell something that reminds me of my grandmother. Now I'm thinking of my grandmother, right? Jump, 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 jump. And so the mind has a habit of going out. The mind flows out and it tends to attach to things outside. So it may attach to things going on at work. It may attach to your children or your parents, or it may attach to worries about money. may attach to some headline that really bothered you, and you read the story and now it bothered you more. And so what happens to us when our minds are attaching to things outside? Just think about it for a minute. So if your mind's always moving out, catching on to things outside, what's going on for you inside? You get oriented to the thing you're attaching to. So if it's upsetting, you get upset. If it's scary, you get scared, right? If it's worrisome, you get worried, etc. And you're fluctuating all the time. So 1 minute you're up, next minute you're down, then you're up again, then you're up again. Now you're really down, right? Like that. And so there's no mastery in that. You don't get to control. When that's the way your mind's working, you can't choose a state. You are in whatever state happened to go by. You can't make a choice to be in a certain state. And so someone will suddenly have a great morning and they'll think, oh, I want to do that all the time. What did I do different this morning? Was it what I had for breakfast? Was it who I talked to on the phone? What did I do? But they can't duplicate it, right? It was just a big happy accident. And now life has come back, right? So when you begin a meditation practice, what you're saying is, I'd like to be able to create the state I want to be in. I don't want to just have it be an accident. I don't want my state to be jumping around based on whatever's going on outside. So when you sit down to meditate, even if all you're trying to do is go to sleep, one of the first things that you'll hear on anyone do guided meditations, search online for them and find them. Anyone do that? Find them? No? Yeah. So when you sit and someone's taking you in those, one of the first things they'll usually say is, okay, take a deep breath, right? So why don't we do that? Let's just take a deep breath. In fact, let's take 2 or 3. So just sit there, have your feet on the floor and just and then do another one. And then do a third one. Now, as you take those breaths, what you're doing is you're tuning to your body, right? I'm saying, all right, let me calm this body down. Because what does an anxious body do? It kind of pants, right? Really shallow breathing. So you make yourself breathe deeply, and then you quiet down, and you're tuning to your body. That's a good thing. Now, sometimes when you're listening to someone lead you in a meditation, they'll suggest that you do a scan of your body, that you just notice what's going on. They'll sometimes start with the feet. So they'll say, just notice your body. So they'll say, notice your feet, and then come up and notice your ankles and your calves. And what they're telling you to do is pay attention to tension, right? Do I have tension? Do I have pain anywhere that I'm not even noticing? So you'll do a little scan of your body. So do that now. Start with your feet. Come up to your ankles and your calves, your knees, your thighs. And if you find any tension, just notice it and then let it go. And maybe you use your breath to do that. So just notice it and then just let it go. Now that doesn't mean the pain's going to go, but your subtle distraction by the pain is going to go. So you bring your concentration up to your stomach, to your back, go to your lungs, notice your arms and your fingers. Notice your neck. We carry a lot of stress in the neck. So just notice your neck and just let it go. And then come onto your face, the muscles in your face, your eyes, your mouth, your ears, all the way up to your head. And then take a deep breath and let all that go. Now, when you do that, you feel better, don't you? You feel a little more relaxed. You feel like, okay, I'm paying attention here, getting it focused on the tension that I carry. And so if what you're trying to do is to de-stress, that's a really good thing to do. Or you're trying to fall asleep at night, that's a really good thing to do. What if you have a little higher ambition? What if you want to change your mood? What if you're feeling outraged or afraid or anxious? What if you want to change one of those moods? How can you do that with meditation? Do you ever try it? Change a mood? It's not so easy. I'm going to say it's not so easy because those moods get a hold of us, right? Especially if there was an event that started it. Someone said something to us, someone pulled out in front of us in traffic, the bank called and our check bounced or whatever, right? So what happens when we're in those states is we've got these little movies that keep running in the mind, right? I'm so annoyed about that. I can't believe that happened. So changing the inner state, you're going to do all the things we just talked about, right? You're going to quiet the body, you're going to take some deep breaths, but you're also going to try to invoke some other state. So if I'm feeling angry, I'm going to try to be calm, right? If I'm feeling afraid, I'm going to try to invoke some courage. Right? If I'm feeling sad, I'm going to try to go to a happy place. And I may have some standard things I do. I may have somebody I think of when I'm going to a happy place, someone who makes me happy, right? Or a place that touches me, or a memory, so we have these kinds of strategies for shifting our mood. Nothing wrong with that. These are good strategies, nothing wrong with them. So if your aim is relaxing or changing your mood or whatever, all of those different strategies that you've heard from other people or read about or figured out yourself are just fine. And meditation can serve you in a higher way. And when Rona talked about Raj Yoga meditation, I'm going to linger there a little bit because you wandered through the doors. So therefore, I'm going to presume that you might have a higher ambition. So with Raj Yoga meditation, our intention is to actually change the self. And by that, what I mean is that we want to be able to be the person that we have hoped to be. If we want to be courageous, or we want confidence, or we want to get rid of something that plagues us, etc., we begin to learn how to do that. It's a kind of mastery. I think it's completely different from the other kinds of meditation. I think it stands on the shoulders of those. In other words, it acknowledges, yes, by all means, use your breath. Yes, use your mind. But the difference is that it starts with some basic spiritual concepts that shift the ground you're on. So, for example, one of the spiritual concepts that's fundamental to Raj Yoga is, who are we? We are souls. We are light. We are eternal. We are eternal beings in a body. So if you just stay open to that thought that you are the soul. So when you begin to work with this knowledge, a couple things become important. One is, what is a soul? Right? Well, a soul is light. The soul is eternal, conscient, light energy, a point of light that sits in the place that everybody calls the third eye, right? The seat of the soul, right behind the eyes. And that soul that I am looks out through these eyes and listens through these ears and operates this body. Now, the difference between meditating as a body, I want to go to bed, I want to go to sleep, and meditating as a soul, I want to become peaceful, is that you're working with the fundamental capacities of the soul. So the soul is where the mind is. The mind resides in the soul, which means that thinking and thought creation is a function of the soul. So when you were in the other kind of meditation and you thought, okay, I want to get over my anger, I'm going to have a thought of peace, it was the mind that created the thought of peace, right? The mind went and got a thought of peace and put it in front of you. And you said, oh, that's good, I feel better, right? So you've got the mind. You have what we call the intellect, which is kind of a higher capacity of the soul for discernment. That's also within the soul. And then we have the patterns of our life experience. And all of us have had a lot of life experience. So the patterns of our life, if we had a childhood in which somebody was angry a lot, we may have a real reaction to anger because it's in there as a pattern, right? Or if we had scary things happen when we were children, we may have a big reaction to fear, right? To things that produce fear. And those become a part of our personality. And we think, oh, it's just me. I'm a little bit afraid as a person, or I'm a little bit angry, or I'm a little bit sad, or I don't have much confidence. And we just think that's who we are. But once you start working with the understanding of the soul, what you come to experience beyond understanding, I think, is that the soul in its original state is only good. It has only peace. It has only love. It has only joy, kindness, compassion, sweetness. These are aspects of all souls. There are no bad souls. There are souls who've had bad experiences and have become cranky and rude and whatever else. But originally, no soul has those qualities. So when you step through the door of this kind of meditation, you do it with the feeling that I could reclaim who I originally was. I could reclaim being completely happy. I could reclaim being completely at peace. I could reclaim being naturally kind and compassionate. And that it's not even a stretch. It's the basic work of Raj Yoga is to, as a soul, you learn how to reclaim all those qualities. And I will tell you that when you actually do the practice, you begin to see changes in like a week. It's not like, well, if I stick with this 30 years, maybe if I'm lucky. No, you begin to see the changes almost immediately. So you start with these basic understandings. So the soul is one understanding. I am a soul. We call it being soul conscious. Now, most of the time we are body conscious, right? We're thinking of ourselves as bodies. I'm hungry, I'm sad, I don't like this traffic, I just about got hit by a car, what's with my body? Why did it stop off the curb? All of those thoughts about the body. But when you shift to soul consciousness, something happens. And you go into a state where you are aware of this eternal identity. And it shifts things. So as a soul, all souls originally came from a region of light. You'll see pictures all over the place of that. There's one there. So also somewhere in the soul, there is a memory that I came from light. It's a very old memory. But the thing about us is that we cannot want something we have never had. We all want peace, right? We all want to be loved. Now, if you've never had, hard for some people to imagine, if you've never had a mango, which I hadn't until I was probably 50, you don't want one. You don't want it. No matter how good everyone says it is, you say, no thanks. You don't need that. Got that wrinkly skin and yeah, I don't, a big seed, don't think so. But if you've had a mango, you can want a mango, right? You can long for a mango. It's the same with this other stuff. It's the same with peace. If we hadn't known profound peace, we wouldn't want peace. It wouldn't even occur to us that it's possible. We want peace because we knew peace. We want peace because we remember a time when the soul was completely at peace. We remember a time when we were completely loved and lovable and loving. Nothing got in the way. Nothing made us feel unworthy. The soul has that memory. That's why the soul keeps looking for love. And there's a song, right? Looking for love in all the wrong places. I don't know where that song, how old it is, but we look for love in lots of places where it's not going to show up. So we want peace, we want love, we want happiness. And we want it because we knew it. We experienced it in our history. The soul came from that. And the soul wants to go back to that. And the more unhappy the soul gets in this difficult world, the more the soul wants to go back. So as you work with the understanding of soul consciousness, you move yourself into the experience that the soul remembers. Now, this is not imagination. I want to make a distinction between imagination and invoking an experience. If I tell you to imagine a rainbow, no problem, right? Came immediately in front of you. If I say, okay, imagine an ice cream cone, no problem. You probably even got the flavor you want, right? When I say to you, I want you to invoke the memory that you have of peace, you go to a deeper place. It's about experience. It's about moving from an idea of peace to an experience of peace. And this is when the soul begins to practice this. Now the soul is working at a deeper level. It's different from saying, I want to de-stress, therefore I'm going to listen to some soft music, which is a good thing. But when the soul invokes its memory, its deep, the word we use is sanskar, its original nature of peace, the soul is pulling on something that exists within it. You cannot remove peace or love or happiness from a soul. It's what the soul is made of. You can't take it out. You can cover it up. A soul can lose its peace because it has a more current memory that makes it afraid. And so the fear is on top of the peace. It can lose its happiness because grief or sorrow comes on top, and it becomes an obstacle to getting back to our original happiness. But the soul cannot lose its happiness, its peace, its purity, its power, its love. It's not possible. It would be like saying, we're going to take the wood out of this table. What would be left after you take the wood out of the table? Nothing would be left because the table is wood. We are peace. When we greet each other here, we say, Om Shanti, I am peace, right? We are that. We are love. We are happiness. So when we begin to work with soul consciousness, what we're doing is we're pulling away from the world. We turn inside, turn the face inside. We become aware of ourselves as the soul. And we let the outside kind of drop away. And now we're invoking that deep, true inner condition of the soul. Now, when we first do this, if you haven't been meditating, the first time you do it, it lasts about, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, because some thought comes in, right? Something from the outside world pops right in. And then you try again, and it lasts another 10 seconds, and in comes a thought. And then you say, and I've heard people say this so much, I can't meditate, I tried, right? I tried to meditate, but I can't. My mind just jumps around. Fair enough. If I told you that I'm going to run a marathon, you would say, wow, that's really good, especially at your age and your size and all that. That's really good. And I'd say, yeah, I'm going to run it. I'm not going to practice or anything, but I'm going to get the shoes and I'm going to get the outfit and I'm going to register and I'm going to go down to the starting line. And you'd say, well, good luck. I hope it goes well, right? I mean, it wouldn't work, right? But if I said to you, okay, I'm going to run a marathon in 3 years and I've got a trainer and I'm going to start running shorter races to see if I can make this happen, you'd say, good for you. Good for you. You can probably do that with that kind of training. It's the same with meditation. If our minds have been wandering all over the place, unorganized, attaching to everything, the first 8 or 10 times we try to bring them home, it won't come, right? It's too fun out there. It's our habit. But once we start working with the mind in soul consciousness, and we say, okay, I want you to come home. It's like, I don't know about you, but when I grew up, you may not have this experience. When I grew up, we could go out and play in the streets. This may not be true anymore, but when the sun went down, our parents would turn the street light on, and that meant you had to come home. This is what soul consciousness is. You're telling yourself, it's time to come home. It's time to come home to myself. I've been out there hanging out on every street corner, every movie, every TV show, every argument, every newscast, whatever. And I've lost myself. I've left myself. And now it's time to come home. It's time to come home to peace. It's time to come home to love. It's time to come home to joy, to power, to purity, which is my birthright. I always had it. I just lost track. So when you begin with Raj Yoga meditation, that is your first concept. I am a soul. So why don't we play with it just for a few minutes? So sit with your feet on the floor and your spine is straight, your neck's over your spine. Now we usually use an open-eyed meditation. So if you're comfortable with that, you can look at this image behind me, or you can let your eyes rest on your lap. If you are not comfortable with it and you want to close your eyes, that's fine. But we usually let our eyes just rest. And so why don't we start, as we started before, start with a couple of deep breaths. Now, your attention has been outside. So now you want to turn your attention inside. into the world of thoughts and feelings and memories and all of that. So bring your attention inside. And now you, the soul, talk to your mind and tell it to become quiet. So you're just quietly telling your mind to become quiet. And as your mind quiets down, your thoughts will become slow. And when they jump around, you just tell again the mind to become quiet and you let those thoughts go. Now, tell your mind to become still and become aware of your breath going in and out. And if your mind jumps around, let the thoughts go and invite the mind back to become still. Now tell your mind to become silent and become aware of yourself as the point of light that sits right behind the eyes and the center of the forehead. This is the seat of the soul. So I, the soul, am sitting quietly behind the eyes. I'm using the ears to hear. I'm using the eyes, I'm using the breath, but I am the one inside, the one behind the eyes. And remembering an old memory, I now invoke the experience of deep peace. So I am peace. My natural nature is peaceful. So as my breath moves in and out, it's infused with the experience of peace. And peace not only fills my mind, fills my heart, but it also fills the room around me. So we are peace. Now bring your attention back into the room, back into awareness. Keep the peace though. So now here's something to understand about the way the soul works. Every thought and every feeling creates a vibration. Have you ever walked into a room where there's just been a big fight? Did you know what had happened? Even if you didn't know the details, you knew something was wrong, right? Because the vibration was filled with that. And if you do what we just did, you create not only a vibration of peace, you create a field of peace around you. So people who meditate on peace regularly, when they enter the room, you feel it, right? You can feel this one is at peace. Even if they don't say anything, you can feel that because each of those thoughts or feelings creates a vibration. Because the soul is light energy, it works with vibrations, right? That's how souls communicate, with vibrations, right? So for example, if there's someone who's in front of you and they're peaceless, the old you, before you had your fabulous meditation practice, would have looked at them and become peaceless, right? Because we're used to attaching to things around us. So that angry person or that peaceless person would have created a peacelessness in us. We would have picked it up. But when we have our own practice, now we influence them because we're not out there attaching, right? We're in here. And so when we're in here, we're stable in peace. And now what happens? We're sending to that other soul. That's service. When someone's upset, that's the very best thing you can do. We tend to talk. Oh, come on, quiet down. It's okay. It's okay to talk, but it works better to hold the state they need and share that state with them, right? So that's the first concept. When you're working with Raj Yoga, it's a very deep concept and it's very powerful. And the more you practice moving from body consciousness to soul consciousness, the better you get at it. And of course, no one around you can tell what you're doing, can they? Your eyes are open. They don't know what you're doing, but you know what you're doing. You're moving into soul consciousness, invoking this natural state, and then you're sending that state, right? Okay. Now, there's another really important concept in soul consciousness, in Raj Yoga. And this is the understanding of who we belong to, who is the source of the universe. This is a really big concept and it's really important to understand. So in the same way that the soul is light, the Supreme Soul, the source, the spiritual parent of souls, is also light. It makes sense, right? I mean, in Christian churches, they say made in my own image, made in his image or whatever, right? So in that same world of light that we came from, that source, that supreme soul, that spiritual parent is in that same world. The supreme soul has the same traits that we have. The supreme soul is profoundly peaceful, profoundly loving in unlimited ways, pure, absolutely pure, very powerful and blissful, joyful all the time, completely. So what's the difference? Are we all God? No. and I'm going to propose to you that God is not omnipresent, because if he were, then why would all these bad things be happening, right? If God were in all of these angry people, that wouldn't work. That God lives in the soul world. The supreme soul lives in that world. And the difference between us and that one is that we come into this world and take bodies. And when we take those bodies, we become attached to those bodies. It's very gentle at first. We don't initially grab onto it, but eventually we become attached to those bodies and attached to matter. And as we do that, we lose our capacity. It goes slowly, slowly. We lose our peace. We lose our love. We get distracted by the disturbances of the thing we've attached to. That one never takes a body. That one remains without a body. It's pure spirit. And it's not everywhere. It's in one place. This is the father of souls. This is the mother of souls. Souls don't have a gender. Bodies have a gender. Soul doesn't have a gender. So the Supreme Soul has no gender. Actually, we don't have a gender, but that's another conversation. As souls, we are all without gender, right? We come into a body. So I see I'm in this body, so I'm going to take that on. But the soul gender isn't a relevant concept. So the Supreme Soul is very important in Raj Yoga. And whatever you call that one, there's 1,000 names for that one, right? The one, the Great Spirit was what the indigenous people called that one. Some people call it God the Father, some people call it the Divine Mother. It really doesn't matter what you name that one. But the reason that this is important to understand is that the soul, although these qualities are innate to the soul loses the capacity to hold them in a big quantity. We can get a little bit of love going, we can get a little bit of peace going, but it's hard for us to be fully loving or fully peaceful or fully joyful because we've been affected by being in the world. We have kind of run down. We have gotten fatigued. You might say we're spiritually fatigued. The soul replenishes itself when it stabilizes in that consciousness of being a soul and connects to that one. When that happens, the instant that happens, that quality of the soul, let's say we go with our little bit of love and we make that link, what comes back to us is an ocean of love. Because that one is unlimited. It's like a fountain. It's like an outpouring of radiance. So we go with our little bit of love, which is like a signal. It's like a vibration. So I go up with my little bit of love, and that one returns 1,000,000-fold. And as that happens, I, the soul, develop the capacity for that kind of love. And each time it happens, I get stronger and more powerful with that love. I gain the power of love. Love is a virtue, and love is also a power. It's a virtue when I have it in me. It's a power when I can use it. Peace is a virtue, and peace is also a power. When I can use the power of peace, then I can affect others, I can affect me, I can create peace. Same with purity, same with bliss. Joy is a virtue, and joy is a power. So when we as souls learn how to stabilize in this quality and connect to the source, we are learning how to become powerful, right? Masterful. We're building the capacity of the soul. That is how we transform. It's different. Prayer is a good thing, but it's different for me, Judy, to be calling out to God. God, wherever you are, I'm having a very bad day. I need peace. Versus my being able to stabilize as the point of light, not the name, not the personality, not the role, the eternal point of light, mustering whatever peace I can manage, and then connecting up, and then pulling down that peace, and then creating that field of peace, right? That's the difference. That's why Raj Yoga is transformative, because we go to the source as light. We don't go as bodies. We go in the awareness that we're light. And that awareness that we hold allows us to make the link, which allows us to pull that down. And gradually we become more powerful. So why don't we practice? Yeah? Okay, so once again, your feet are on the ground, your back is straight, your head is kind of over your neck is sort of over your spine. And your eyes are open just a little bit, right? They might be resting on the floor. They could be looking at this point of light behind me. But I, the soul, am seated here behind the eyes. I'm in the seat of the soul. The mind is still. And I'm going to meditate on love. So I, the soul, invoke this oldest memory of unlimited love. I am love. So I, this being of light, seated very lightly behind the eyes, am experiencing this unlimited love. I am loving. I am lovable. And I am loved beyond imagining. And I feel the vibrations of love radiating quietly from the soul. And I'm letting go of any awareness of the body. I'm just allowing it to fade away. And I'm really concentrated on being this point of light, filled with love. Now, in the awareness of this source, I allow my thought to go to that highest place, that region of light, and to that highest one, the one I have known the longest. This one that I have known since before memory. This one that has only love for me, only acceptance of me. This one that is an outpouring of love. And I feel those currents of love come to me, the soul, and I don't allow other things to get in between. I just sit in the radiance of that, and I absorb that limitless love. And I feel my heart filled with love and sweetness, kindness. I feel my body filled with those vibrations of love. It moves beyond the body into the room. Beyond the room into the world. Touching everyone I've known, even slightly. And now I think of one soul who needs my love today, who needs God's love today. And I just touch that soul with one thought, and I allow this radiance of love to move through me to that one. I am the instrument, and I allow that one to experience this love. And then when you're ready, You bring your attention back into the room, but you keep the love. Keep the love in the soul. Keep the love in the heart. So, what can you do when you become powerful? Spiritually powerful. I know there are people in this room who can tell us that. You share that, right? Once you can become able to master like that, you can invoke the state of love, you can invoke the state of peace, then you can create that for yourself whenever you want. You can create those fields around you whenever you want, and you can send that to others, whether they are currently in a body or not. You can send that to someone who's no longer in a body, because you're talking about light and souls are eternal, right? Now we have just a little bit of time left, so I just want to talk with you briefly about your practice, because the way this happens is because you practice every single day. You remember my marathon ambitions? You have to have a daily practice. You don't have to meditate at the same time as everybody else. You find the time that works for you. Most people do mornings. How many of you have a practice already? Do you do mornings, nights, mornings? Nights too? Night for you? Morning? Not yet? So I'm going to just invite you to consider that this could be the most important choice you make in your whole life. Because when you choose to move on to the path of awakening like this, and you make this kind of commitment, your whole life changes. And it happens really fast. Your friends notice. You don't necessarily, you don't have anything to compare it to because you're inside, right? But the people around you notice pretty quickly. They notice, what's with you? What's going on with you? Did you change your diet? Did you get a new job? But what's going on with you is you are waking up. You're waking up and you are gaining not only the awareness of all of this, but the ability to invoke these inner experiences, right? And once that happens, everything becomes possible. Real magic happens, but you cannot do it occasionally and expect the same results. The results I'm talking about happen because you don't miss a day. I mean, if you got up late, then fine. On the train, you do your practice. Right? If you overslept, then you just make it happen while you're having your breakfast. But your morning practice starts when? When does your morning practice start? The night before. You go to bed with the intention of getting up. And you go to bed a little earlier because you plan to get up. And you set your alarm a little bit earlier. If you usually get up at 6:30, then set your alarm for 6:10. And then when you sit in your meditation, make it lovely. It's a date with yourself and with the Supreme. Light a candle, get an inspirational book, put a journal there, make it comfortable, get a little shawl or a blanket. Make it lovely. And then do it every day. And don't miss. And don't miss. And then you've got this place available to you to come by for reinforcements. If you decide you want to come for a retreat, you come up to Peace Village and you come for a retreat. But you keep supporting yourself because the world is struggling right now, right? It's hard right now. The world is having a tough time. And so it needs our help. The people in the world need our help. And so we do it for ourselves first. First, we do it to get strong and healthy. And then we do it to help everybody else. Right? So, all right, let me stop. We have tilted over 7:30 a little bit. I don't know if you've got questions or thoughts or whatever's. Anyone on Zoom? A question or a concern? You think I'm crazy? Tell me that too.
No questions yet, Sister Judy.
Mm.
I just want to say thank you, and it was very helpful. Thank you. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Thank you. I enjoyed. Yeah, me too.
Yes, my question is that once you invoke that power in meditation, how do you maintain that power throughout the day? Like, what do you do?
Well, that's a
So
good
it stays
question.
with you all
Yeah.
day.
So initially you have a time when you meditate. So I meditate for an hour at 4:00, for example, in the morning. But what happens to you eventually is you find that you want to go back and do another 5 minutes here, another 10 minutes here, or evening. For a lot of people in the evening, what they do is they go through the day and they let go of things that bothered them, right? Or they celebrate things that were good. Because when we do our day, we hold on to things. We're going too fast to really grab it, right? So at night, you start with, oh, you know what, let me think, what was my morning like? Oh, it was good. I did a good job. That was very nice meditation. And then what happened? Oh, I got in my car. I drove to work. That was great. And then what happened? I had that bad moment with so-and-so. Yeah, I could have done that differently. Okay, sorry, let that go. Then what did I do, right? So they roll through their day, letting things go, and then they go to sleep. That way, when you wake up, you're not carrying yesterday's stuff. So minimal, if you're really gonna make it be serious about it, I would say do morning and night. And then if you want to, add up other little minutes, you know? I mean, when I hear a siren, I stop. And I quiet myself and I send good wishes to that one. Whoever needs that help right now, may they get the help they need. Whoever's in trouble, may they get relief. May they be at peace, right? You only need a minute. You don't need during the day to have a lot, but you keep reinforcing, right? Yeah. You having a thought? You? Yes.
No, when you said siren, when you said sirens, the thought that you had was totally different to the thought that I had. I'm thinking it's loud, and I'm thinking it's like I need to calm myself down in a sense.
Right. Well, that's true.
the
You
two,
do need to
yeah.
calm yourself down. That's the right first thought. And as you get more practiced, your next thought is, who needs my
Who
help?
needs milk?
Right? Who needs my help? And it happens very naturally because, you know, one of the things that happens to good people is they get tired. because they're always giving, giving, giving. Some of you may be like that. Most meditator types are really exhausted because they're trying to help other people. The reason they get tired is because they're not full themselves. We can help others when we help them from overflow, right? So the stronger we get, the easier it is to help someone else, right? If someone's sitting next to you and they are really sad, something happened, you sit next to them, you may not need to say a word. You're just holding comfort. That's all you're doing. You're holding the experience of comfort, right? And that's all you're doing. You're sending them love and comfort. If you want to say something, that's fine. But if you're in a state of love and comfort, your words will carry the vibration of love and comfort. And to complicate this further, since we're out of time, the karma philosophy, which we didn't talk about tonight, but you know what it is, right? What goes around comes around. The quality of our action is affected by the inner state we're holding. Two people can do an action that looks the same, but this one is in an angry state or an upset state or an impatient state, and this one is filled with love. The return of this is love, not of this one, right? So those inner states that we carry infuse the words we speak and the actions we take, and they actually write our life script because we get the return of that. So the first thing is, that thing is loud, I need to quiet myself. Excellent start. But as I've done my practice more, that thing is loud, somebody's in trouble. Let me just take a minute here and send, right? Let me send that love, that comfort, that they're okay, without getting attached. Right, yeah. Yeah, you're welcome.
Mr. Judy, there might be a question. Radhika, did you have a question?
Yes, sister. Thank you very much. This is a wonderful session. Thank you so much, sister. My question is like, what are few things like how we should not meditate? I mean, it's a common mistakes that we do. We are not able to focus at some point when we are in a stressful situation. So I just want to hear from you, like few things, how we should not meditate.
How we should not meditate.
Yes.
Okay. Well, for one thing, don't sit in sorrow. Don't sit with remorse. A lot of good people spend a lot of time feeling bad about their mistakes, right? I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have said that. I wish I hadn't behaved that way. That's a total waste of time. Don't do it, right? Don't spend any time thinking. There's basically 5 qualities of thoughts. There's negative thoughts, which you know about: anger, fear, criticism, all of those negative thoughts. There's waste thoughts, which is kind of like thinking, I can't believe that one's always like that. They always behave that way. I'm so tired of being around that, right? Waste thoughts. Then there's kind of the ordinary thoughts. I'm going to the grocery store. I wonder what's on my calendar. I haven't, did they deliver the paper today? I didn't see it. I wonder if the mail's here, right? All of that. Then there are positive thoughts. All the thoughts I've mentioned up till now, you don't want to meditate with those thoughts, any of them. If they walk into your mind, you throw them out. Positive thoughts: love, joy, kindness, compassion, patience, sweetness, awe, all of those. Those thoughts you can hold in meditation and they will improve your inner state. So what's the 5th category? Something beyond positive thoughts. And that's where you want to do your major meditation, and that is an elevated thought. An elevated thought is a thought of God. It's a thought of the Supreme. I, the point of light, I, the soul, belong to that one. I'm in a state of love with that one. That one loves me. I feel the currents of that one's support and love. That's an elevated thought, and your best meditations are those. So all those other states, and also, I think a lot of people, I should have said this at the beginning because we're way out of time. A lot of people spend meditation wanting. I want that big house. I want that job. I want my kid to get a job. I want my kid to get into school, right? Wanting is not meditation. And wanting does not produce powerful, positive karmic return. Wanting is pulling. I want this. I want a raise. I want a change of job. I want to take a vacation. I'm going to think about that beautiful house. Now, will the beautiful house come to you if you think about the beautiful house? If you concentrate like that, will the beautiful house come? Yes, it might. But what will come with the beautiful house is all the complications that come with the beautiful house. The basement's leaking, the previous owners didn't give you clear title, there's snakes in the yard, whatever. You've got to be careful what you want. Concentration works. Wanting can work, but it can really create bad stuff. So if you are in a state where you are in a state of love, may there be love for everyone. What will happen because of the principle of karma? Think about it. Karma says what you put out comes back to you. Wanting, something will come to you, but not in the sense of enriching your life. You've got to be very careful about what you want. And a lot of people spend time in meditation thinking about what they want. It's not meditation. And it really can be harmful because you can end up with all kinds of things that you asked for. The old saying, be careful what you ask for. So the very best thing you can do in your meditations is have bhavana. Have pure feelings and good wishes for every soul you meet. Whether they belong to your political party, whether they belong to your religion, whether they want the same things you want, etc. See, we have a habit of loving people that are lovable or loving people that are like us, right? Because we understand them, we have rapport with them. But that's not the way spiritual love works. Spiritual love works. I love not because you're lovable. You may not be lovable, but I love because I am filled with love, right? I, the soul, am made of love. We talked about that, just like this table's made of wood, I hope it is. I, the soul, am made of love. My parent is eternally loving, and I have access to all of that love. And from my love, I'm now in overflow. With that, I love whatever's in front of me. Mean dog, naughty child, someone who did something really terrible. I have love for them and maybe mercy, right? Because the soul that did something really terrible is going to have a terrible repayment of that. So let me have mercy for that one. And as long as I'm sharing my love, my bhavana, my good wishes and pure feelings, that's what will come back to me. So that's part of the kind of fundamental understanding is whatever you put out comes back to you. So don't spend time wanting in your meditation, right? Is that enough of the do not meditate category? Yeah.
This might be a little bit of a silly question.
There are no silly questions.
Great. I'm wondering if you ever get sad, because I think there's the assumption that those who spend a lot of time in meditation and, looking toward those elevated feelings.
Never have a bad day. Well,
Mm.
I'd love to tell you that I never have a bad day. But I will say this, when I do, when something, I think I'm vulnerable, probably like you are, when I see someone struggling, it can make me sad. And then I have to remember the principles of karma. That it may look to me like what's going on for them is really wrong, but actually it may be hugely beneficial. Maybe just exactly what is the gift that they need to wake up, the experience they need in order to grow, or they may, I mean, Mita and I spent a lot of time talking. She had to deal with a lot of sorrow, and she was so wise, because when you understand the soul's journey, it looks completely different from the body's journey, completely different. And when we have respect for the journey of the soul, we say, okay, I may not understand the timing on this, or I may not understand what's going on for that one. And that's what I have to do when I feel sorrow. I have to say, all right, wait a minute. I am connecting here to this little scene. And in fact, there's a whole spiritual journey behind that soul, and when it's an aspect of understanding and it's an aspect of faith. And when you have both the understanding and the faith, then what you give is you donate what that soul needs. So that soul may need courage. That soul may need patience, right? So you donate that, which means you invoke courage in yourself because it's resident in the soul. You pull strength from the Supreme. Now you donate to the other one with your vibrations. And if you want to say something encouraging, that's fine too, right? And souls get things beyond the body. So if someone has left the body, you can do the same donating. May you travel in peace. May you know love. May you be in acceptance. Know that I'm not going to pull you back. I have love for you. I have respect for your journey. There's a lot of, it's really about knowing, this is where faith comes in. You have to really know that that one is getting well. Let me just make a tiny point here. When you cut your finger, what happens? The minute you cut your finger, what happens? Get a paper cut. Starts healing, right? Right away. The blood comes rushing, the skin starts going back together, makes a little scab. Like immediately your body starts healing. The soul is the same. The principles of karma are the healing of the soul. The soul is getting the return of what it needs to get well. And so we look at some situation, the soul's in, and we go, oh no, that's just terrible. It may not be terrible at all. And often if you ask them or listen to them, often it's really not terrible. They, on some level, get that they're getting wisdom, experience, insight. So what we have to do then is keep ourselves in a place where we can support and be proud of them as they move through it. It takes a lot of courage to do the things that people do when they're in trouble. A lot of courage. You've watched people get up and dust themselves off. You must have. It's happening everywhere. You think they can't go through this. It's too hard. And they get up and they go through it. And you see how powerful they become. And you think, wow, I'm glad I didn't waste much time feeling bad about that, because that's just what they needed. So you have to have that faith. And then you have to be a good walking companion with them. You walk with that soul and give them what they need. Right? Yeah, you're so welcome. Yeah, you're so welcome. Yeah. So we're way over. You want to close with a little bit of silence? Let's just take a couple minutes of silence together. And in that silence, you take yourself into the states I was taking you into, okay? Om Shanti. Thank you. Thank you for a lovely evening. Thanks to those who stuck around on Zoom.